morning. We are streaming from Kiev, obviously. We are streaming from Berlin. The headquarters, the German Chamber of Commerce, is hosting us to the headquarters, especially Tang Wu has got up early this morning to this technically. I have the pleasure of being joined by Mykyta Rozhkov of Frontline Robotics and Matthias Lehna, who is the CEO of Frontline Robotics joint venture with Quantum Systems. They are the first to actually start operating and building drones under the Build with Ukraine initiatives. The first batch of drones has been delivered, as I understand. And we want to talk about companies, the recipe for success, and the way ahead for the company. And you are welcome to ask questions during our. Let's get into it. I would like to start with Mykyta. Maybe you could give us a few facts about your company and then about how you found Quantum Systems as a partner and what is it that you are looking for? We have found how this
Okay. Hello, everyone. Please, yes, feedback on the sound quality, and it will help us to make this translation better. So my name is Mykyta Rozhkov, as I was introduced. I'm Chief of Business Development at Frontline Robotics and responsible for international growth. And Frontline Robotics, we are strongly believers in the robotic defense line, that the future of battlefield will be without humans actually involved into the fight and engagement, and we're working on it. And I'm happy that we have together with Quantum Systems the first co-production of small logistic drones called Lehna. And we already had last week first actual delivery to the Ukrainian armed forces, the first batch of the produced batch in Germany. So, as you know, in Ukraine we've got
very fast knowledge exchange and the interaction cycles of actual products that are actual on the modern battlefield, so to say. And for us, it was very important to maintain this speed of iteration and have the stable, predictable possibility to have stable, predictable production. And we're happy that we can have this together with the Quantum Systems here in Germany. So main idea is to have this fast iteration cycles in the actual products in Ukraine and the stable production with the experienced industry player from Germany. I will repeat. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Matthias, you are the company's CEO, I believe, since December.
Yes.
Now. Can you tell us a bit more about Quantum Systems and maybe also the story of how you found those guys?
Okay, yeah. Let me start first by introduce myself. I have a double head function. I'm still with Quantum Systems. I'm responsible for the Ukraine business, also based here in Berlin, and I split up right now my workload to also be as an MD for QFI, for Quantum Frontline Industries, responsible in order to ramp up and set up everything to fulfill the first order. And as Mykyta said, we are proud to have delivered the first batch, and the ramp up is further ongoing. To give you a little bit of insights about the recent status, we at QFI have right now up to 100 employees hired. Our daily production rate is up to 20 lenses, and we are further accelerating. And this has been done during the last weeks, not months, since we got the export approval, and we did all the integrations to start production. And right now we are experiencing, after we relied in the beginning really much on support, also with parts coming from our company, Frontline Robotics, that we are now doing the distribution of orders of suppliers to suppliers in the region. So we are activating right now the German manufacturing industry, which is where our production site is in southern Germany, quite huge. So we see the benefits right now. I think that's for the beginning also remarkable because we are one of the few companies in the region who are not doing layoffs, who are actively hiring, and the impact you start to feel right now.
How did you get it up and running so quickly? There was an existing site, obviously.
Yes. So we had some benefits, obviously with one partner, with Quantum Systems, also a drone producing company, the experience of how to produce drones in general with an existing supplier network. We had Frontline Robotics also giving us a kickstart to start the production, providing us personnel to show us how to set up the production, how they're doing it. And we had some good hires, to be honest. We had from Amazon some guys who were experienced how to set up supply chains and logistics, and they were quickly starting. And we had also luck by activating the Ukrainian community in the region, who were jumping in and were really enthusiastic, supporting, which also involved lots of weekend shifts, overnight shifts, just to fulfill the first goal of delivering the first batch of drones.
Whose help do you need in order to start up such a joint venture? But you need lawyers, tax advisors, you need to talk to the German MOD, to the Ukrainian MOD, you need BAFA for approval.
Yes.
Can you both give us an insight into what the preparation looked like?
Maybe start from the Ukrainian side point of view.
I wanted to do the same, Matthias. Yeah, so yeah, in our case, so the joint venture, you have to approach it with the proper resources and the proper attention, because it's in order to create the joint venture, you have to address it properly. So it comes with a lot of negotiation, a lot of conditions that should be discussed and met. And also, but in general, I can say that the core of this partnership was technology and the product. So together with our partners, we was very clear that it's a product match, and we can make the joint venture around the product, and then go with all the legal details and agreements, and including all the governmental stakeholders also. So the core was that there is a product that is good, that is in demand in MOD, and the Ukrainian MOD clearly stated that they have a big demand on this product, and they're interested to scale it in Ukraine and outside of Ukraine, So this was the first main condition. The second one, it was the readiness to do it in Germany, and here I can say that I heard a lot about bureaucracy and kind of hardships in order to open a business, in order to have this legal stuff right. But I can say from an outsider of Germany, my impression that we really had a lot of support. And the whole process of legal process was very streamlined and fast, to be honest. From the idea to the signing the JV agreement, it was it took us 3.5 months.
Yes.
That it like from my perspective is super fast, and we've done it in Germany. So from my side, I can say that also from the legal perspective, the frameworks are here, so you can if you have a product alignment in its demand, so then it's just a matter of execution.
Yes. And I can add up from my point of view. I think it was also helpful that I'm based in Berlin. I'm also right now in constant consultation with the stakeholders here in Germany to support such kind of a project. So I think it was no coincidence that we got approached in a way that asking, is it possible to bring up a lighthouse project within the Defense Industry Corporation, which kickstarted last year in summer, when the former Defense Minister Omerov and Pistorius signed a letter of intent to tighten the Defense Industry Corporation between Germany and Ukraine. And we were at the right time, at the right spot, I would also say, to be the first lighthouse project to fill this industry cooperation initiative with life. And we also, and I think that's why it's no coincidence, as Quantum Systems, we have executed a localization strategy early on after the full-scale invasion in Ukraine. And we got also the attention to our commitment to Ukraine by also not only establishing a service support and production site in Ukraine. We have right now 450 employees working in Ukraine for Quantum Systems. We also invested into Frontline Robotics, and we were starting also to go more and more into this integration into this ecosystem. And I think this was in the minds of the decision makers here in Berlin when they were approaching us and asking if we could kickstart a lighthouse project. And then it was most of how can I say, most of the further developments of how to shape this project, involving the stakeholders, driven also by our commitment to this project, because both sides, Quantum and Frontline, instantly knew there is, from the technical standpoint, a great fit. It's complementary from the technology, but also from the mentality and from the mindset, there was a great fit. So it matched, everything matched.
Okay, so I understand that. Well, one of the issues here in your cooperation is that you know each other for a long time. Quantum holds a stake in Frontline Robotics. But what could you say? What could be some advice for the Germans and the Ukrainian companies? How do they find each other? There are obviously, I think there must be at least 100 Ukrainian companies that are considering this. And there are probably even more German companies who are willing to be the joint venture partner. But how do they find each other? Maybe advice for the Germans from the German, advice for the Ukrainians from the Ukrainian. Let us start with Mykyta.
Okay, so it's I like this question a lot, and I have a very obvious answer in it. So in order to meet your partner, in order to make this partnership, you have to meet your partner. So you have to be present, first of all, in Ukraine, on the gatherings of local defense tech industry, and also active on because it's harder to find proper Ukrainian partner if you go to European exhibitions or European defense tech meetings and avoid coming to Ukraine. So the very first thing that I can recommend to the German companies is to visit Ukraine, visit frequently, and do your due diligence and find the potential prospects and companies that you want to partner with. And also, in our case, we were very active and looking for partners in order to do such project. But we meet together with Quantum Systems in Kiev, and after the meeting in Kiev, so our partnership, including including investment and all other tracks have started. So this is the main thing: is to be active and to be present where the Ukrainian companies are present and be more aware of the Ukrainian market. And the second thing is approach. So in our case, to go into such a thing as a joint venture, as a co-production, so you have to have a strategic approach. It's not short-term way in order to achieve short-term business goals. You have to look at it as not as a scaling, but as a new industrial paradigm when there is in one region. Let's have this kind of in generic terms. In one region, there is a fast pace, there is innovation, there is a testing, and there is other places where the scaling is happening and adaptation to the NATO standards, etc. So two things from my side: you have to meet your partner, so you have to be active and find it and do your homework about Ukraine, and then have this strategic approach that will be beneficial to both parties.
What can you add from Quantum's perspective?
Yeah, I think the key message is be there, be active, and that's why it's no coincidence that we kickstarted that, and also understand the situation over there. So if you're not going there, you don't understand what's going on, then you're telling stories about Ukrainian housewives doing production, and then you end up in a mess. and I don't think it's matching with the realities, which you can only see if you're on site. So if you are a German company looking into this field, my first recommendation would be use the offers like also AHK is offering with their business trips to Ukraine. Get a look and feel, and then you will figure out, since you are a business, how to do business. It's possible there, and you will see it's a driving business, especially in the drone industry, where you also see that Ukraine is now able to give something back, because right now the Ukraine drone industry is leading in the world. So you can see it's not coming from Silicon Valley anymore, it's coming from Donbass.
Great. What's it like to work with Germans? I mean,
And,
in terms of culture.
It's an interesting question for me. I say that I have not a vast experience, and to be honest, with Quantum Systems, it is a company that is active in Ukraine for a long time. So Quantum already knew about how in Ukraine, about work ethics in Ukraine, about how we approach the work, about how the situation is. So to be honest, from our side, it was kind of a surprise when we when we had the first meetings with the Quantum, how aware they was about the culture, about the situation of Ukraine in Ukraine. So it definitely helped us in order to find faster common ground and agree on most terms. So I kind of a bias so here, and it's hard to tell about the general thing. But from Ukrainian perspective, of course, we see that everything that's happening outside of Ukraine is kind of slow. So we have a general ask every time I go abroad to be faster in decision making, to be faster in every type of business operations that you have here.
So anything to add? Of course, there is company culture and there's national culture. I imagine that the company cultures are pretty much alike here.
Yeah, and as you see, if you're talking about culture again, you see Ukraine's really on point, no chit-chatting, of course. Yeah, there's a sense of urgency. So I think that's matching with the German mentality pretty well. But the other topic, yeah, you're right. If you talk about speed, if you're in Ukraine, it feels like driving on an autobahn. If you come back, it's not only Germany, but I think speaking for all of Western Europe, it's feeling like taking a junction and then being stuck in a traffic jam. But for this project, I also have to say we felt and saw the support in a way that everything was accelerated on light speed mode. So establishing the joint venture 3.5 months after the initial idea, then signing the contracts to get the first orders, and then also get the approval from the export approval with the license we needed to start production within in this time frame. I think it was 6 months, 7 months, was doing the official handover with President Zelensky and Mr. Pistorius was only possible because also everybody was supportive, also from the German side and the Ukraine side also to move. It was more like one was stepping forward and then the other side had to follow, and then it was like both sides were pushing themselves to make it happen. So you can see also it's possible here in this case.
So the public sectors in both Ukraine and Germany are very supportive.
They were for this because the Defense Industry Corporation as a foundation, as a framework was.
Is there anything you might wish from both the Ukrainian and German governments to be even more supportive, because we want more companies to do this?
Yeah, for establishing more companies within this framework, I think we will see hopefully during this German-Ukrainian government consultations more updates. Let's see, but I think the next step should be set up a proper framework with clear guidelines how to proceed. Because we as the first mover had some advantages, but to make it more, I would say, industrialized, you need, I think, guidelines, standards, which could be used as a blueprint. But Mykyta, I think from your side, you can add.
Yes, I'm support this message. So we see that there is a lot of potential in such cooperation of Ukraine and German of Ukrainian and German companies regarding the defense. So both sides get their upsides, and in order to make it scalable, you have to put it on the rails and with a proper framework that more companies can follow. And if we want to have more and more this kind of partnerships in 2026, there should be dedicated also from a public sector resources dedicated to grow this framework, because it cannot be so with the potential it cannot be only like 1 year or 2 year. It has a potential to be really something new in industrial cooperation in this new era, let's say. Let's put it like this.
We have around 10 minutes left. Let's talk about the future of the company. Now, this is a company which has the purpose of delivering drones to Ukraine. What happens when demand from Ukraine drops dramatically? Where are we going from after the war? Obviously,
you're very positive thinking. We need positive thinking.
We need positive thinking. There is a possibility of peace coming. I've always been forecasting it for the coming year, and still I'm hopeful for 27. So what are your long-term goals in this company?
So if you look at QFI, Quantum Frontline Industries, we have the motto scale, expand, create. We want to scale the existing product. Now speaking of Linsa, the logistical drone we are producing right now, then we want to expand from the portfolio of Frontline Robotics. So implementing, for example, the ISR version, the Zoom is something we are striving for. And then the last part, create, we want to also approach other end users, like, for example, the Bundeswehr, who should also consider procuring such technology coming from Ukraine. Because in general, what we see is a huge capability gap in Western armed forces in the drone industry, in the drone field. So they are slowly recognizing it, and we see a huge potential to step into this field in a scenario where maybe the demand in Ukraine will slow down. But to be honest, I think if we have a situation where we have a kind of ceasefire-ish situation, the stockpiling game will start, because everybody will stockpile these new technologies in a way that we also can commit something to it.
I'm looking at questions that are...
but I think it's not a one-hit wonder, definitely not.
Yeah. I need to apologize to everybody who asked questions, because there are so many coming in that it will be hard to choose, and we will not be able to take them all. Finance, I just see banking, finance. Anything to comment on this? What is behind this in terms of financing this joint venture? Is this from own resources?
It's a government business, so you have governmental money in it. So you have the demand statement, and you have the military aid programs, which is also financing this. So this is the German-Ukrainian Industry Corporation. So it's going through the German-Ukrainian military aid.
Logistics comes up as a question. I also had this on my list. So delivering what in one batch? This is 1,000 drones?
No, we started now with the initial batches. We talk here about 3-digit numbers, which is only the beginning. We have in the beginning a delivery plan, which is going for quarters, but we are split it up in the beginning for monthly deliveries. But then we will, if we further accelerate, we'll go over to bi-weekly deliveries and have a constant stream. So, but it's accordingly to the production output, which is right now further accelerating.
Now the Ukrainian customs doesn't have a great reputation. Is this smooth sailing, delivering drones to Ukraine?
But so because we're executing the direct MOD demand, so everyone is kind of on it and on the board in order to make those goods come as fast as possible to Ukraine. And also it was from a logistic perspective, it was our main goal to bring first batches as fast as possible. So everything was optimized in order to make it happen.
There's a question which I find interesting. Under ideal conditions, all sides pushed Lighthouse project. It took about 5 to 6 months from idea to finalization. How long would it take if there are not these ideal circumstances? And where would acceleration of such projects be possible in Ukraine or in Germany?
I would frame it more positively. We did the hard work, so now there's a blueprint, and from our understanding, you can execute based on that. Speaking of industry and also officials.
Yeah, so we have to yes, be aware of that. We're not only so support can come if you propose something. So, and we've got a lot of hard work in order to define how to do it in a proper way, including the Ukrainian export regulations and Germany legal field. So it was also not an easy task, and we are right now, the fact that we are here, and also we're very open about how it was happened in order the more and more companies join this Build with Ukraine framework. So to be honest, my main concern is there will be few of such cases. We need a lot of them in order to push like to scale the drone industry in Europe and to push more products to Ukraine in order to continue defend the country and Ukraine.
And also adding to this, so I'm wearing this hoodie also because of conviction. It's part of an integration procedure. So having defense industry cooperation will also push further the overall integration of Ukraine into Europe more and more. And this is also from a political point of view important.
Absolutely. There are a few individual questions concerning you, and are you open to discussing bilaterally with our participants?
Oh yeah.
Sure. So please feel free to address Mykyta and Matthias individually. Just checking, do I have?
No,
we have come a long way here. Mykyta, please. You were going to say something?
Oh, I just wanted to say that if you have any questions, you just can send it to my LinkedIn profile. I will go through and I will find you and we'll go from there.
What were the main? I found another one that I haven't asked until now. What were the main obstacles? What was it that was most troubling in the run up to this joint venture or in the run up to the production?
From my perspective, was to find an approach. From my perspective, was to find a proper model of the technology export that will like check all the boxes. So from the first, first, when we talk about this project, we have to be aware of the several layers. So one of them is a B2B layer. So it had to approach have to meet the like commercial requirements of both parties. So then it's a G2G layer with legislation and the export controls, etc. So the framework of cooperation of such like technology transfer and then deliveries back to Ukraine should meet the requirements of the G2G level. And then in the end, Ukraine is at war right now under the attack of aggressor. So it's also add some extra layer in order how to do it properly, not to that it has no bad influence also to the actual front line in the Ukraine, and it can provide a proper precedent that other companies can follow and avoid like downsides that can hurt actually the Ukrainian industry.
And
So you as the CEO, what kept you awake at night? What were the thoughts?
I think the aggressive timeline, it's like not we have the time to set up how to proper integrate proper procedures, proper integration of ERP system, wait after this, and then step by step going on. It was more like, okay, we had to get the export license approval, then we had to get the first batch produced, and now we have to industrialize more to further scale. Meanwhile, we were hiring aggressively. Meanwhile, we were setting up a supply chain and routing it also more out of Europe. So we're doing everything at the same time, at the same moment. And it's not one single thing. It's more like this whole amount of topics which are coming at the same time. So if you're asking me what's keeping me awake during the night, it's just a huge amount of different tasks at the same time. But it's doable, it's manageable, and it's also worth it because we see the benefit of having such kind of cooperation more beneficial as a win-win situation. So please don't hesitate if you're interested into it. I can just motivate you, go to Ukraine if you're a German company, be present there, do your conversations, and I think this is a starting point, and then don't expect only having guidelines for everything. Just move into this step with the confidence that you will see also success in the end and the benefit on your own side, because Ukraine right now is working under conditions and acting and developing under conditions which are not comparable outside of Ukraine, and therefore there will be also different kind of results you maybe expect from a partner from a country which has not that sense of urgency.
So, thank you very much.
Mm.
I think we've come to the end. We have quite a few questions left. I would suggest that we try to answer them. I will consult you both about answers to the remaining questions. Thank you very much also for being there. And communicating with the audience. I mean, as a follow-up to this. Thank you to our listeners, to the audience, and I think we have a feedback sheet after this. Well, thank you for listening, and see you again hopefully then in 10 days time. 10 days time for our next AHK Ukraine talk on compliance issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you.